of the rich man and Lazarus. Jesus is sharing insight to something that was happening and that's real. And there's different religions and there's different belief systems and mindsets that think there can't possibly be a hell. That would just be too horrible. But that's one of Satan's greatest deceptions, to make us think there is no concern for hell and to keep us in a state of rebellion and separation from God. We're not going to allow that lie. We're going to read about it right now. Luke chapter 16, and I'm going to start at verse 19. And this is Jesus speaking. There was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. The Lord's letting you know this guy is very, very wealthy. Verse 20. But there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, and he was full of sores. He laid at this rich man's gate, desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. He probably suffered. It was probably very painful. And so it was that the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. Who you belong to is the one that comes to take you where you're going for eternity. Just remember that. The rich man also died and was buried. I think it's interesting that Jesus did not elaborate on the fact that demons came to get the rich man. Verse 23, and being in torments in Hades. Okay, now in verse 23, Jesus makes very clear that the rich man did not love the Lord. Instead, he loved his riches. Now, you can be rich and love the Lord. I'm just saying he never made that choice to follow God. So who he served is where he went. He went to hell where he was tormented day and night. And being in torments in Hades, he, the rich man, lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. You could say that Lazarus was, near him. So let me just clarify. After Jesus died and rose from the dead, it says he led captivity captive. So those who were in Abraham's bosom in paradise, they were waiting for the resurrection of Christ before they could then ascend to heaven to be with the Lord. And that's where they are now. So that was a temporary place. So in the center of the earth, you have hell, and you had, back then in the Old Testament days, across this great divide, paradise. And it was where Abraham, the father of faith, went, and the other believers in the Lord prior to Jesus' death and resurrection.